Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Today we have an amazing problem for you guys where it's called Roman to integer, right? So this is a very good problem. So let's see what it's all about, right? So it says Roman numerals are represented by 7 different symbols, I, V, X, L, C, D, and M, right? So those are the symbols and those are the equivalent values, right, for each of the symbols, right? So very good laid out for us, pretty good. I like that, right? So we see the I is equal to 1, V equals to 5, X is 10, L is 50, right? C is 100, D is 500, and M is 1,000, right? So very, very good and pretty good. So for example, 2, right, is written as 2 I's, right? So we see get the I and I, right? So we just need to add, right, the two individual symbols, right? And then we get the corresponding number, okay? So for 12, right, how do we get 12, right? 12 is written as, X, right, in Roman numerals, right? X, right, which is 10. And then the two twos, right? So we see the X equals to 10, right? And then we add the two I's, right? Which is ones, right? And we get the 12 that they're saying, right? See what they're saying here. And 27, right, is written as, as you would guess, right? Two X's, right, to give you 20. And then a V to equal to 5, right? And then two I's, right? Which is, just adding those up, right? You're not gonna get cases where you have, you could have said, why don't you just write 2x and then 7i, right? That's not a valid case, right? It's not Roman numerals. Doesn't work like that, right? Yeah, right. So it says Roman numerals are usually written from largest to smallest, right? Yeah, we kind of peeped that a little bit. We see that the larger numbers are gonna be to the left, right? And then as we go to the right, the numbers keep getting smaller and smaller, right? Which is good. Okay, pretty straightforward, right? So look so far that we just add up all the numbers, all the different symbols, right? And so we add up the corresponding values, right? So this is 10. We add 10 plus 10, 20 plus this equals 25 plus, and then plus 1 plus 1 gives 27, right? Looks simple so far, right? But it's gonna get a little bit more exciting, right? So it says, so Roman numerals are usually written from largest to smallest, from left to right, right? So however, the numerals for 4, right, is not for I, right? Which is the case I was telling you guys about, right? Instead, right, the number 4 is written as IV, right? So you see that, it breaks the rule that we just came up with that, numbers go from largest to smallest, right? But that's a special case, right? To write the number 4, since we can't have for I, right? It's represented like that, right? That's kind of the rule they come up with, right? That's how it is. So to get the value of this thing that they're giving to us, right? The symbols, right, of this number, right? We need to subtract, right? Subtract the value, okay? Subtract the value of I from V, right? To give you the number 4, okay? Because the 1 is before the 5, we subtract it, right? So wherever you get the case where, for a particular symbol, right, the next number that follows it is bigger than it, right? We know we're gonna have to do some kind of subtraction involved, right? We got to do subtraction, okay? So the same principle applies to numbers, to number 9, right? Which is, to represent it, right? We don't have 5, which is V, and then 4 I's, right? We can't have that, right? Because right? So we need to make sure that we treat it like that, right? Okay, so yeah, so once you get those cases, right, where for a number, the next number is bigger than it, right? We need to do subtraction, right? But in any other case, we just add them up, right? If we know that we're bigger than the next number, we just add ourselves to the result, and we keep doing that, right? So those are the special cases, right? There's only 6 more instances that you need to worry about, right? There are, I think 4 other instances, right? So this is the one that we just talked about, the 2 we just talked about, right? And then we get the other one, right, to represent so X, right, can be placed before the L, right, which is 50, right, to give you 40, right? And then we get the 90, right? We put the X before the C, which is 100, right, to give you 100 minus 10, right, gives you 90, right? So that's how we get those 2 numbers, right? And then we do the same thing for 400 and 900, right? But placing C in front of D and in front of M, right? So we know that 100 minus 500 is 400, right? And then 100 minus 1,000 is 900. That's how we get 900 here, okay? So the goal is for us to convert it into, we're going to give it symbols, right? And we need to convert it into integer, right? So, okay, so this case is relatively straightforward, right? We know that, so we have 3 ones, right? And we know that to get the actual value of the number, right, we just add up the corresponding values of the symbols, right? And then that's our answer there, right? That's our integer, right? So we know that we add 1 plus 1 plus 1 gives you 3. That's the number 3, right? We can tell that, right? So this one is interesting as well, right? It's the same case. We see L, right? We just keep add up all the numbers, right? Because we don't have any funny special case here, right? We just add up all the numbers straight through, right? We see L, V, right? So L is 50, right? Plus V is 55, and we add the 3, right? To give you 58, right? So pretty simple there, right? So this case is a little bit interesting, right? So that's the interesting case here. So we see M, right? So M is obviously bigger than C, right? Because, M is 1,000, C is, so I think 100, right? So we just add to that result, right? So that's 1,000 there, right? So we get the case, right? Which is a pretty funny case, right? They've already worked it out for us here, right? Which is good, right? So we see that C is a smaller number than M, right? The value is smaller, right? So because of that, right? We know this is one of the special cases, that we need to do some kind of subtraction, right? All right, so we know that, since C is smaller than M, right? We subtract, right? So this would give us now 100, okay? And then we do the same case here, guys, right? X is obviously smaller than C, right? Because 10 is less than 100, so we subtract again, right? And then we do the same here, right? I is less than V for sure, right? So we subtract again and we get 4. And we add them up, that's how we get the result, guys, right? Pretty simple, pretty easy, okay? So this is a very good problem, right? So how do we go about it, right? So let's just start with brute force the obvious solutions, right? I think that might be the correct answer, right? So anyway, so let's try it out. Let's see. We know that we need to loop through the string, right? And we need to loop each character, okay? Okay, let me see. So for this one, right, we just, we could kind of store for each symbol, right? We store the equivalent integer value for the symbols, right? So we have some kind of a map, right, to kind of store the equivalent values, right? So for I, we have a 1. So every time we could just reference the symbol, right? As we look through the string, right, we reference the map, right, to get the actual value. And then we can compare the different symbols, right, based on their value, okay? And that's how we're going to be able to make certain decisions, either to add or to subtract, right? So we can just compare their ASCII value, or it can just compare the alphabet positions, right? That's not going to work, right? Because I, right, smaller than D, right? So that's not going to work out. So that's why we need to use some kind of a map, right, to kind of get the equivalent corresponding value of their integer value, right? Their actual value that they have, right? So because D has a higher value than I, right, for sure, by looking at this, okay? And Roman numerals, right? So that's how we're going to go about it. We look through a string. As we look through, right, for each value, we just add them up, right? We'll have some kind of a running sum, right, or the total sum that gets the sum here, right? So adds the corresponding value, right? We get 1. Okay, we go to the next one. We add 1 to the output value again. We get 2. Go to the next one, get 3, and that's how we'll be done, right? And for this one, the same thing, right? We see 50, right? We see L. We see the value is 50, so we add it to the outputs sum, right? We add it, and then we go to the next one. We see the case, all right? So this handles this the easy case, right? So how do we handle the special case that we talked about, right? Which is the subtraction, right? So this is where we're gonna have to think a little bit more, right? So if it wasn't for that, it would have been done already. So it would have been super easy problem, right? So it's still pretty simple, right? So the way that we're gonna do it, right? We're gonna, as we're looping through, right? We're gonna check, guys, right? If the next value is greater than I am, right? Then that means that's one of those special cases, right? So since it's a special case, then we're gonna handle it accordingly, guys, right? So we know that, subtraction is gonna be involved, right? So what I'm gonna do, I'll just, so we go here, right? We have 1,000, right? And we go to the next number, and we see that this next number, right? Because M will be checking the next number is bigger than it, right? So it's not bigger, we go on to the next one. We just add it to the output result, right? And we go on to the next one. So we have 1,000 so far. And we see at C, right, we check the next value. Is it greater? Yes, it is greater, right? Because of that, that's one of the special cases. We're gonna be doing subtraction, right? So we're gonna do 1,000 minus so from whatever to total sum so far, right? We're gonna subtract the value of that character, right? So 1,000 minus 100 is 900, right? And then once by the time we get here, right, we check, right? Is the next number greater, right? No, it's not. It's not greater. So I just add myself to the output result, right? So that's how we're able to get 1900, right? So 900 plus 1,000 gives you 1900, and that's how we're gonna keep doing it, right? Keep doing that same decision, guys. We're gonna be checking ourselves with the next character to see if it has a bigger value, right? Right? If it does, then we do subtraction. If it's not, we just continue adding as we normally would in most of the time, right? Cases, right? Okay. So hopefully you guys kind of understood the thought process, right? Let's quickly go ahead into the code, right? Code will be a lot more simple, okay? A lot more straightforward. So we have some kind of a map, right? A map to kind of store the values, right? The integer values of the corresponding symbols, right? Okay. So I might skip this part, right? So I'll be just adding every single symbol here. Okay. All right, now that we've done that, right, we got our map that have for each symbol, right, we have the corresponding value, right? So that's how we're gonna be able to easily do the checks, right? To know what we need to do. So we're gonna loop through the string, right? From left to right, right? You know, because that's the case that we agreed on. So you could also try to do it from right to left, right? And your logic can be switched up just a little bit. Okay. So I'm going from left to right. And as we're going through, right? So I also told you guys we need to keep track of the total, right? The total sum, right? As we're adding all the numbers, right? So for each value, right? So for each symbol, right? We're gonna get its value. Okay. So the value is where in the map, right? So that's where we're gonna get it. So we're gonna get the value of that number. Okay. Okay, we get the value, and then now we're gonna do the checks here, guys, right? So do we subtract or do we add, right? So we're gonna do. So it's pretty much a simple if and else statement, right? So statement is gonna be if the value is less than the next character's value, right? And I would do the next value, would be I plus 1, okay? If that's the case, right, we know that we're going to have to subtract. We're just going to subtract that character from the value of that character from the running total, right? Because we know that we need to do subtraction, right? Okay. That's not the case. We just add, right, to the output that we're holding in, right? And then after that, guys, I think we are in good shape to just return the total, right? And say that we're in good shape, okay? So there's one more case that we need to worry about as well, right? You know, since we're doing I plus 1 here, right? We need to see if we're one of the last number, right? Right. So we don't go like you know index out of bounds, right? Kind of errors. Yeah, we need to worry about that case. Okay. So no, sorry guys, I meant to do. We're not at the last position, right? That's what I'm doing here. Okay. So looks good to me. Let's press run code, see if we pass the small test cases. Awesome. Let's see if we pass all the test cases. Awesome, guys. We were able to pass all the test cases, guys. So if you guys found value by watching this video, please give me a like and subscribe if you're actually new here, right? You know, and let me know in the comment section of whatever kind of problems you guys want me to do, or if you guys have any feedbacks, let me know as well, right? You know, all about, you know, improving on this channel and helping each other out, right? So I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch the video. If you guys found value, give me a like, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.